Hi, Mr. Asko Anime here. Today, I'm going to explain a supernatural comedy anime called The Daily Life of the Immortal King. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The year was 4386. All around Huaxiu, people were engaging in agriculture while taking use of the conveniences that cultivation technology had to offer. Up until a level 5 giant frog attacked the city, everything was peaceful. A magic squad was sent to defeat the monster, and a little child was seen having a snack near the action. He was so engrossed in his eating that the black-haired and red-eyed child was unaware, or maybe even indifferent, of the danger he was already in. He is about to be struck by the enormous frog when Zhuyi, a member of the magic squad, saves him. After some time has passed, Zhuyi is now regarded as the hero who rescued the city by eliminating the giant frog by himself. And today is Faction 60's first day of the new academic year. Two upperclassmen approach alone, red-eyed, freshman with dark hair as he enters the building. They recognize him as the Force Value 5 they discovered in a photograph, and the two make lewd promises to look after him. They are politely thanked by the indifferent freshman, but they then begin to push him for a protection fee. The elders are suddenly in front of a golden beam that is shooting towards the earth, sending them both flying. The other stunned students recognize the smiling girl as Sun Rong, the legendary daughter of the Flower Fruit Water Curtain group, as she chides the boys for mistreating someone who had a lower force value than them from the rooftop. Sun Rong makes a smooth landing in front of the freshmen to a chorus of oohs and ahs from the admiring kids. The girl is all smiles as she jokingly offers to defend the freshman, and in response, he curtly hands her money as payment before leaving. Sun Rong is astounded by the indifferent boy's actions, as are the other classmates who are observing. The first-year students are required to take a test to decide which class they will be in since it is the first day of class. Students that get high marks will be in the class elite. For their test, they have to face the incarnation of the spiritual force of the giant frog invader, and they are tasked to hit its head with all their might. Unbeknownst to anybody, the gigantic frog, who is really sealed inside the incarnation, has been sneakily taking little amounts of the pupil's spiritual energy with each hit. Just a little more, it'll have enough force to break through the seal. The proud and elegant Sun Rong, who has a force value of 2019, stands out among the numerous pupils that tried their hands at striking the frog. Let the oohs and ahs begin. She's a far cry from the bullied freshman earlier, the one with the pitiful force value of 5, blessed with beauty, wealth, and power. His name is Wang Ling, and it's now his turn to take the test. After Sun Rong's excellent performance, it is understandable that the kids in the audience are somewhat underwhelmed to see a scrub like him take his turn, but the frog reacts rather differently. The frog inquires, "Wait, why do I hear boss music?" As Wang Ling approaches, the boss music is so epic that it takes the frog back to when it wreaked havoc in Huaxiu. The hotshot Zhuyi was really beaten up by the monster, proving that he wasn't really all that hot after all. But before Frog could overcome him, the youngster himself destroyed it while his own background music began playing. Wang Ling is the young person, and he hates interruptions when eating his crispy noodles. After recognizing the boss music, Froggy begins to fear that Wang Ling would destroy its soul and spirit if he gets his filthy hands on it. Meanwhile, Wang Ling's thinking to himself that he should contain his spiritual force to the minimum and pretend to try hard. Wang Ling thus limps up to the frog while yelling his battle cry, into the air. But before he even attempts to strike it, something strange happens. The gigantic frog is resting on its back as the broadcast resumes after the screen that was showing his performance went into static. The force calculator goes into overdrive once everyone notices this and displays a string of 9 seconds as his score. There are possibly more than 3 9s in a row. They aren't the only ones, however, who are surprised by this turn of events. Since he didn't even strike the frog, Wang Ling thinks it strange. Exam administrator rushes in, upset about what happened to his froggy, as he nicknames the evil demon King Frog the exam administrator. Wang Ling rapidly assesses the situation and concludes that the frog is simply acting dead. Its surviving spiritual force turned into a spiritual body and escaped while he was mourning its seeming death. The exam administrator stands up after gathering his bearings and sternly assigns Wang Ling in Class Elite. Shocker, it is currently the first summoning lesson for Class Elite. The power of the spiritual body they summon is proportional to their degree of force. According to their teacher, the class conjures anything from anime action figurines to magical girl wands. Sun Rong, being on another level among the others, summons a spiritual body of a dog. Sun Rong coyly smiles and responds, "I can't call something that powerful as the other students congratulate their goddess for summoning a demonic beast. But deep inside, the girl is enraged and furious, wondering how much strength it really takes to call forth those evil powers. Wang Ling hasn't summoned anything yet since he's worried about the Beast King he'll ultimately summon. However, he just goes through with it since his teacher is waiting. Using a drop of his sweat, Wang Ling ends up summoning the giant frog, which complains about facing the powerful boy again. In their panic, some of the students run out of the room. Fortunately, their teacher saves the day by using the dog Sun Rong has summoned. She fuses the giant frog and the dog through a talisman, forming a cute dog-like spiritual beast. The students end up fawning over it and calling it Froggy too while Wang Ling walks out of class. Time for some fun facts about Wang Ling. Fun fact number 1 is Wang Ling crawled out of his mama's cooch by himself when he was born. Even before he was born, he began to walk, which so frightened his father that he passed out. Can't blame him. Wang Ling was spoiled with toys by his loving parents when he was a baby. He can hear others' thoughts because to his high powers. Thus he has known from a young age that people often hide their true feelings. Wang Ling has continued to keep a low profile ever since. But when Wang Ling overcame Froggy at the early age of 6, he broke this oath to normality. His parents saw this and right then and there, they decided that it was best for him to double down on keeping a low profile. Before starting elementary school, Wang Ling was able to control his overwhelming spiritual energy thanks to his father's online research on how to do so. Additionally, he is developing an amulet to permanently reduce his spiritual power. Wang Ling almost set his home on fire on his 7th birthday by blowing the candles too hard. In another instance, his powers sent his friends flying away from him. His mother stressed that she only wanted him to live a regular life, despite how impressive her son is. Wang Ling is also familiar with his parents' laborious efforts over the previous 10 years. He is fully aware of the significant sacrifices they have made in order to allow him to have a regular life and be a normal boy. He has thus been consuming special tablets designed to weaken one's spiritual energies for the last 10 years. Additionally, he resolved never to use his abilities excessively until the new, more powerful amulet pill was completely consumed. At school, Sun Rong and their hot-blooded classmate Chen Ko are participating as candidates for class president. Wang Ling doesn't want anything to do with this, seeing as being the president is the opposite of low-key. He sees dried noodles for sale as he walks across the campus. And as we've already seen, the boy cares more about dry noodles than he does mass extinction. So he makes his way through the throng of students, hoping to grab a pack. A suspicious-looking guy suddenly pays for everything that was purchased in the shop and informs the audience that everything is free for the freshmen as long as they support Sun Rong. Now who says that dirty deeds are carried out on the cheap? When Chen Ko and his buddy witness this, they protest that asking for votes is unfair. But Sun Rong shows up and claims that she is only showcasing her skills, abilities to solicit votes. Sounds about right, ma'am. As for Wang Ling, he only cares about dry noodles, so he says that he'll give Sun Rong 5 votes for 5 packs of dry noodles. Sun Rong then uses the art of seduction to woo the students to vote for her. So now, even her rival, Chen Ko, is under her spell. Sun Rong used a seduction spell on the students during a lesson on the ancient arts of confinement. Sun Rong panics and fears that the teacher has seen through her schemes. The teacher explains that seduction uses incantations with hand seals to project the user's spiritual force on others, making them into the user's fans. This spell requires gift-giving in order to work. Wang Ling understands what Sun Rong did earlier while the teacher is talking about it. He remembers that he handed her a pill in exchange for the dry noodles, which meant that he was no longer under her spell. He signals for her to eat the dry noodles, but Sun Rong interprets this as wanting her to take the medicine he gave her. So, to Wang Ling's horror, she does. The instructor also warns them that the seduction would fail because they lack spiritual power. And since the pill reduces someone's spiritual power, Sun Rong's spell on the students promptly breaks. The teacher then asks Sun Rong to demonstrate the spell he had been discussing. However, the drug has made Sun Rong weak, and as a result, she trips over the garbage can. Wang Ling will now perform the magic demonstration in her place. After that, Chen Ko wins in the following class elections. Sun Rong seemed to have learned her lesson. The first years will have their lesson on refining pills the following day. Each pupil is required to bring their own furnaces to school. On the other side, Chen Ko arrives with a large copper cauldron. He claims that his great-grandfather refined level 9 golden pills in the cauldron. Therefore, he is probably aiming for the same results. As always, Sun Rong makes a grand entrance at school, but she's not quite herself. She approaches Wang Ling first, who recognizes the seduction symbol on top of her head right away. Realizing that she was affected by his seduction spell the previous day, he quickly breaks the symbol, and Sun Rong's released from the spell. Students are required to make vitality pills in class. After rushing through a demonstration, their teacher exhorts the pupils to make the pills themselves. Wang Ling uses a microwave, whereas Sun Rong brought a refining machine from her family's factory. In the middle of class, Chen Ko's cauldron explodes. He runs out of the room crying, saying that his dad will definitely whoop his tush. The instructor responds by saying that patience and attention, rather than vigor and enthusiasm, are needed to perfect medications. It's true that Chen Ko was too passionate about everything, even refining pills. The teacher instructs the students to leave the room first and then return later since it will take the pills around 7 hours to be polished. But unbeknownst to the class, there's a dastardly villain lurking in the shadows, and that villain is Cutie Wootie Froggy 2. Now that it's left behind the room, the dog is planning to eat one of the students' magic furnaces. Fortunately, Wang Ling arrives just in time before Froggy 2 can swallow it. He ends up chasing it outside the room. Still distraught over the damage to his cauldron, Chen Ko recalls how he begged his dad to let him bring their family cauldron to school. Meanwhile, Wang Ling is washing Guo Hao's furnace, which he saved from the bad doggy. Guo Hao sees him with it and asks him what's going on. Wang Ling says that Froggy 2 put Guo Hao's furnace in his mouth, so he took it out and washed it. At the same time, a mind devil has already consumed Chen Ko's mind, which stemmed from his distress over his cauldron. For messing with his cauldron, Guo Hao is trying to shoot Wang Ling with his pentatoxic potion. Unfortunately, Chen Ko is moving in their direction when the potion is shot, so he takes a hit and even drinks part of it. Wang Ling is acting absolutely casually about the situation while Guo Hao is losing it and is even prepared to use his abilities to cure Chen Ko. But Guo Hao stops him and urges him to help him make an antidote himself. Even if he believes that the potion's side effects aren't very severe, he eventually yields to the overdramatic Guo Hao. Froggy 2 approaches the furnace while they are making the potion to attempt to eat it once again, but Guo Hao quickly foils his efforts. However, this teaches them that Froggy 2 may quicken the heating process. When Wang Ling discovers this, he is shocked, and Froggy 2 arrogantly claims that his whole act involves manipulating time frames. The two ill-intentioned boys then made the decision to use the poor Froggy 2 to hasten the process. Froggy 2 is used as a test subject by Guo Hao in addition to being used for his abilities. He would have been better off letting Wang Ling obliterate him after all. Their teacher and other pupils quickly arrive in the classroom. Guo Hao attempts to stop them but is unsuccessful. Fortunately, Wang Ling moves quickly enough to keep Chen Ko hidden. Guo Hao receives a rather excellent score when the teacher examines his furnace and discovers a golden pill inside. Guo Hao is shocked and on the verge of tears as he guesses Wang Ling placed the made pill in his furnace. As for Wang Ling, the teacher gave him a hard time when one of his pills burned in his furnace. Guo Hao is even more upset by this because he thinks Wang Ling made excuses for him so he could get a better grade. Guo Hao thus considers him as a lifelong buddy. But the truth is that Wang Ling did absolutely nothing. The golden pill that Guo Hao made was in his furnace while he was making the antidote, and his microwave produced a crappy pill. And since Froggy 2 was tampering with the heating procedure, Guo Hao's tablet was also impacted. Eventually, Chen Ko finally comes to, and Guo Hao tells him that he and Wang Ling found him passed out on the ground from exhaustion. He then directs his attention to the fixed-up cauldron behind him, which has Chen Ko crying in gratitude. The sobbing youngster turns to face Wang Ling and offers him an impassioned hug. But what Chen Ko doesn't know is that his fixed-up cauldron is all thanks to Froggy 2, who remains unthanked in all this. It had been a long and crazy day full of mistakes and misunderstandings, but it is because of these misunderstandings that these three lads have formed a wonderful, beautiful friendship.